Afternoon, Taurus. Welcome to Scorched Earth Tarot. This is going to be a general reading for Taurus, Sun, Moon and Ascendant. Usual rules apply. Take what resonates, leave the rest. If you don't know what your Moon or Ascendant signs are, have a look in the description box below. I've included a link that will help you out with that. If you would like a personal reading, I can be reached at the email in the description box below. Just go and have a look. Can't think of anything else I want to tell you right now. So thank you to the people who've reached out for personal readings. I've met a ton of really incredible people this month, and it has been an honour and a privilege to be able to read for you. Very much so. I've been quite touched by all of you in one way or another. So all good. Right, let's get some cards on the table. I'm sorry that this is late. September was a bit of a shitty month, and one thing and another kept me away from YouTube. So I have 3 cards for Taurus. I'm going to take those, it's too many. But it's good to see that you're feeling talkative today. Taurus. Say that, I'm afraid I may have jinxed myself right there. Could I have 2 cards for Taurus? Thank you. Taurus, October. Okay, we have 3 cards on the table. They are King of Swords, 7 of Wands, and the 6 of Pentacles. I'm going to get some clarifiers, put some meat on the bones of these cards, and we'll take it from there. The readings are timestamped, so if the shuffling gets on your nerves and you're in a hurry, just go down to the comment box, and the first comment will be me timestamping the video, and you can just leap ahead. Can't be offended. So, why is the King of Swords here for Taurus this month? Okay. Why is the King of Swords here? Interesting. There's the 7 of Wands here. That fair flew out. Let's do that one. Crikey. All right. Just need 2 more. 6 of Pentacles here for Taurus. Last one. Okay. So, shadow cards on the bottom of the deck are the Ace of Cups, which is new love of something, someone, and Judgment, which talks about second chances. It's interesting, there's actually a Mercury retrograde coming up at the end of this month. I think it's literally the 31st. And we are now at the 10th of October, so in the next couple of days we're going to start entering the shadow period for the retrograde, and that is when things tend to pop up. Stuff that we haven't dealt with properly tends to come back for another opportunity to either fuck us over or, you know, give us an opportunity to put it to bed properly, which is the way that you should be looking at it. So Don't be afraid. Do not be afeared, Taurus. And let's see what's going on here. So, the first card that you have is the King of Swords. He's the masculine energies of the air suit. So this could be an Aquarius, a Gemini, or Libra. I forgot for a second there. Could be one of those signs that you're dealing with. It doesn't have to be a man, it's just the masculine attributes of it. So much more active, not receptive like the female energy. And he's come up in the upright, so that's great. If this is a person that you're dealing with, he's coming forwards with pretty good intentions. But if it's not, if it's an energy, and I think it might be an energy of yours, then what we're dealing with here is really good communication skills this month, on point. Quick thinking, very logical. You're not getting bogged down in anything. You know, King of Swords is very black and white. He sees things very clearly. And I do feel, as I'm talking, that this is you. This is the energy that you are embodying this month. You know, he's very wise. If he were a person, he would most likely be found in some profession that values that kind of logical thinking. So we're talking lawyer, we're talking doctor, we're talking about somebody who can understand complicated information and sift through it pretty quickly, get rid of the bullshit and get it down to the real crux of the issue. His sword's up. It's a man of great integrity. It's an energy of great integrity and truthfulness. And take it as it resonates to you, because I think this is an energy, but it could be a Gemini, a Libra, or an Aquarius around you. Most likely Aquarius, but here we go. And then we have the Three of Wands. And the Three of Wands, well, at its most basic, it talks about travel. At the very least, it talks about movement. This chap's up on the side here, and he's got, you know, two wands planted, actually, and he's holding on to another one. But he's looking out over the sea, looking out at ships. I think the idea is he's supposed to be a merchant, and he's waiting for his ships to come in. Right? Tarot readers use that stock phrase quite often, waiting for the ships to come in. But I think that doesn't imply enough movement in this. I think he's trying to decide which boat he's going to get on. So it could be that you're considering travelling this month. Because it's wands. I don't feel like this is mundane travel. I think this is something that you actually find quite exciting. In fact, as I'm looking at this here, this looks like a departure board. Like a train departure board. Really weird. All black and yellow and speckly and stuff. The other card that you have is the Emperor. Now, Emperor is the card of Aries, so this may be an Aries that you're dealing with here. But if it's not, it's quite interesting because he's the King of Kings, right? That's who the Emperor is. He's kind of like the step up. You've got the kings in the normal hierarchy, and then in the major arcana, you've got this dude here, and he is he embodies all of the traits of all of the kings. So when he's upright, he's great. If he's reversed, he's literally every bad thing about every king of every suit that there is, and you should just avoid him. But he's come out upright, and I can't help but notice that he bears more than a passing resemblance to the King of Swords that we've got here. Switch them round. And he too talks about control. He talks about strategic thinking, which is absolutely something that the King of Swords would do. Whereas the king is ruling a kingdom, this chap's running a fucking empire, right? There's planning here, there's strategy put in. It seems like someone's giving a lot of very serious thought sort of planning, into some sort of movement. I'm going to pull another card for that because I feel like there's something missing a little bit. These are here for Taurus. So I pulled 2 cards and both of them are Libra. So this could either be a Libra person that you're dealing with, or it could talk about the fact that this is absolutely happening this month in Libra season. But we now have a pair. We have a king and a queen. So that's a solid whole energy, right? Not just the masculine attributes and the feminine attributes. This is both of them together as an approach. It's having all bases covered. The 3 cards that I pulled, the Queen of Swords, the 2 of Swords, and the 4 of Wands. So there's a decision to be made. Shit. I should just point out something else that I've noticed. So we've got Libra, Libra, Aries. Right? The 4 of Wands is Venus in Aries. Taurus, Taurus, Taurus. There are a couple of interpretations that I can see here. One of them is that you are currently fielding 2 potential partners, I think. One of whom is an air sign and the other one is an Aries. And you are currently stuck needing to make a decision about it. They could possibly live at a distance from you. Have to travel to visit them. That's one possibility. The other possibility is that and just looking ahead to the other 2 cards, I think this is quite distinctly likely for somebody. Is fear, in a wave of fear. I bring you back to the shadow cards. We've got the Ace of Cups and the Judgment. It's a fear of somebody coming back, of a love coming back, potentially. Because when we look at these 3 cards here, we've got needing to make a choice. And if you're in a relationship reading of any description, the last queen that you want to turn up is the Queen of Swords. Like, she's not emotional at all. So we've got an emotionless, just throw it out there. Certainly very logical, maybe a little bit cold, a little bit distant here. And then we've got like the happy home, celebrations and a wedding potentially. It could read that you are so, I want to say afraid, but like super wary of being sucked back into an old situation, an old way of loving someone, an old way of experiencing love with someone, that you are engaging like full-on logic mode and kind of kicking back. Take it as it resonates to you. The next card you've got is the 7 of Wands. That's fire energy, but it's a card of feeling defensive. And I don't think you're feeling defensive because somebody's attacking you. I think you're feeling the need to defend yourself. You know, you don't employ the King and Queen of Swords as a whole energy unless you are trying to construct, you know, some sort of boundary that literally cuts people down before they get anywhere near you. And here you are, getting ready to fight with your feet in your emotions right there, protecting yourself. And why are you protecting yourself? Because we've got the Seven of Swords, I'll put it there, Seven of Swords and the Five of Pentacles. You are absolutely terrified of being taken for a ride. You know, the Seven of Swords is deceptive behaviour, potentially. It's a lot of other things too. But, you know, some people call it the thief card. It's somebody trying to get away with something, you know, pulling the wool over your eyes on something. And then we've got the Five of Pentacles. And the Five of Pentacles talks about lack. You know, it can be a lack of money. You know, perhaps you got screwed over by somebody, you know, like stealing all your money in a previous relationship, something like that. But it's lack of any sort. You know, it's somebody trying to get away with not giving you what you deserve. And you're defending yourself against the possibility of that happening. Almost proactively, I feel the need to say. It's almost like, I don't think that anything has happened yet. I don't think that you necessarily have been approached, but maybe somebody just caught your eye in, you know, a certain way, and it was enough to trigger this fear response in you. And now you're like, you batten down the hatches, you've got the king and the queen and the emperor and everybody involved, and you're like, no one comes anywhere near, because I'm going to stand here and I'm going to be ready, because ultimately everything's going to end like this. Now, whatever you've experienced, it must have been pretty savage, because you don't have this kind of reaction of a, you know, without having really been quite wounded by a previous relationship. You know, there's a really strong fear response here, and it's snapped up to protect you. But I feel like the reason why these cards are showing themselves to me today, for you, for the month of October, is because you're going too far the other way. Like, maybe you went into your last relationship, you know, with your eyes shut and a bit naive, you know, or maybe you just never expected someone to treat someone that they cared about in such a way before, you know. Because the next card that we've got is the Six of Pentacles. And the Six of Pentacles is about balance. It's about restoring balance, because often it can talk about charity. You know, you have someone who is rich giving to someone who is poor. But ultimately it's about trying to redress the balance, and that's what the tarot is asking you to do today. It is realise that the way you've called your armies up to defend you is actually blocking you from making connections with people in the future. You know, and this is how we grow. This is how we learn. And the most valuable lessons that we do learn are the ones, sadly, I hate to report, that seem to wound us the most. You know, we build up a certain amount of scar tissue over time. But with that comes wisdom as well, you know. With that comes the ability for us to be able to fix those things in ourselves that maybe, you know, maybe that we blundered into, you know, a previous relationship without realizing that this was something that needed addressing. You know, tendencies towards codependency, say, you know, not enough of a sense of self to be able to be, to a degree, compassionately detached from a partner, you know, to appreciate them as a person in their own right, and you as a person in your own right, for whom neither are improved or, you know, increased in value by the addition of the other. You know, two separate people coming together, spending time, enjoying things, you know. Balance here. And you've got the Four of Pentacles in reverse to clarify, and that's your energy, right? That's Earth right there. This way round, it's holding on too tight to something. It's clinging to things that you need to let go. But this way up, it's letting those things go. You know, that's going to fall off his hat right there. It's going to fall out of his arms. You know, those are going to slide off from underneath his feet. You need to let go of something. And I feel like maybe you thought you had let it go because it's not been bothering you that much. But the merest sniff of somebody being interested in you has sent you into panic mode, and you've wheeled so far the other way that you risk doing yourself quite a bit of damage. You certainly risk blocking your ability to make good connections with people and to learn and to grow and to do all of those things that we are here to do. You know, you're going to retrieve your balance. You're going to be able to tip the scales back the right way by letting it go fully, because you haven't. You think you have, but you haven't. This fear response, this panic response would not be happening if you had let it go altogether, learned the lesson and move on. And this is why these two cards are here. You're absolutely terrified about this. The final card that you've got is the Two of Wands. And I like this because it's kind of a step back from where we were. Like, if you remember in the first set of cards, we had the 3, but also in that 3, we had a snap down panic response to things. This 2 here, you know, you're restoring balance, letting things go, and taking a step back. Taking a step back from where you were when you were panicking, when you were slamming down the shutters and raising the drawbridges and everything. Taking a step back, looking at things with fresher eyes. Yeah. And I think I've just noticed that the shadow card actually at the bottom of this deck is the Hermit. And I think that that's quite useful, because I feel like what I need to tell you is that you've still got a bit of work to do, that there's some shadow work, you know, there's some stuff you've got to pull out, because you've come a long way, but you're not there yet. And there's a bit more introspection needed. You know, you need to look at why you've had this, why the severity of this response, and it really has been like, you know, you've rallied armies. Yeah, like if I was going to pick a card that I'd want to see to confirm what I've just said, it would be this one. It's the Moon. There's stuff still hidden down in your subconscious that you have not dealt with yet, that it's just it's creeping around underneath, and you need to look at it. You need to bring it out into the light, because until you do, you're going to have this reaction, this huge overreaction, and that's what it has been. But it's absolutely filled you up. Like, it was full on panic and terror. You know, don't mistake isolation for, you know, emotional isolation for getting over something. They're not the same things. And it's okay to grieve. I mean, I think maybe there's an impression here that you've concentrated so hard on being so strong on the outside that you actually just stuffed things into a box. And you can't stuff things into boxes without them creeping out again at some point. It's it doesn't happen. Hermit and the Moon. You need to do a little bit of thinking, a little bit of pulling apart, you know, and it's probably going to be uncomfortable. It is. But if you can let it go properly and you can restore your own balance, you won't do this again. You won't panic again. Okay, Taurus? So I'm going to leave it there. If any of this resonated with you at all, like the video, subscribe, do all that sort of thing. You know, send me a message. I read and respond to every message I get, because I really enjoy being part of your life and making connections with you all out there. So, yeah. Best of luck. and I will speak to you in November.